There's no shame in going back to the drawing board. Admit you may have gone a bit overboard, retrace your steps, and do better. That seems to be what OnePlus plans to do next year. Cut and resketch for their 10 series, even if something tells me people are gonna be divided over design. Because OnePlus 10 Pro won't look anything like the 9 Pro, at least looking at the back. Prototype renders show a completely redesigned camera bump that's more square than rectangular. And yet, it's not the camera island we've seen on iPhones. In fact, it will remind you of the one of Galaxy S21, blending with the edge of the device. In the attempt not to copy the other, though, OnePlus nudges the whole bump downwards so it won't wrap around the top, just the side. It's a peculiar one, not gonna lie. I don't know how many take on the rear camera we've seen of late. And I guess not everyone's gonna love it, not at first, but if the rest of it fits the bill, it's gonna be something they'll overlook eventually. What's even more interesting than OnePlus's call to make the bump wider is their decision to cut the camera out. Remember how the 9 Pro debuted with a quad main, ultra-wide, tele, and mono? Well, 10 Pro is gonna launch with a triple camera. If you ask me, the monochrome lens is getting the sack. OnePlus won't ditch the ultra-wide for sure. As for the tele, their stock periscope is in the works with 5x optical zoom. So naturally, that leaves the mono. And honestly, how many of us did use it? It was cool for a photo experiment, but that's about it. Good riddance. The camera hardware is going to be backed up by Hasselblad software enhancements, of course. OnePlus is in an ongoing partnership with them, an expensive one by the way, to become camera gurus. With the 9 Plus, they introduced natural color tuning and color calibration. Basically, a fancy way of saying that your photos will look as realistic as possible. And that you have the option to edit them as much as you please. In Pro mode, you get to adjust ISO, focus, white balance, and save your results as raw files. All of this will come back to the OnePlus 10 series and hopefully more. We're in the second year of collaboration with Hasselblad, and I'm hoping to see major improvements, real differentiators on the phone camera market. What else do we know about the 10 and 10 Pro? Both phones will be likely to stay in the 6.7 inches range. I don't see OnePlus changing track too much. OnePlus 10 Pro will likely sport an 120Hz refresh rate, just like the one before it. Under the hood, the Pro version is bound to come with the latest from Snapdragon, the 898 chip, or well, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, as they want to name it apparently. Either way, we'll have powerful flagship phones on our hands, no doubt about that. This will go with an 8 to 12 gigabytes of RAM, which is nothing to complain about. Sure enough, you'll have plenty of storage, about 256 gigabytes, although forget about getting more. I don't think OnePlus is gonna give us a card slot. They didn't do it last year after all. What are these phones gonna run? A blend of Color OS and Oxygen OS. Oppo and OnePlus merged, so it makes sense to have their OS to do the same. However, OnePlus did say there will be a branding difference between the phones of the company. Basically, you will still get the feel of the OnePlus phone. So far, it seems that the camera suffered the most changes. As for upgrades, some will definitely go to the battery department. First, the battery cell. OnePlus is set to bump it to 5000 mAh, which is starting to be the norm for the flagships these days. And that's not all. Charging speeds will also see an increase. We're talking 125-watt fast charging from the 65-9 Pro offered. Quite the generous update, huh? We'll know more next month about it. Details about the Hasselblad enhancements, new display details maybe, and we'll have time for that since the phone is not gonna drop this year. I expect the OnePlus 10 series to show up next January, February, roughly at the same time as the Galaxy S22. No one has said a word about price, so we have no idea if the company is following the trend of late. You know, to cut users some slack and slash prices, or if their Hasselblad collab will make this impossible. What I can tell you is that a year ago, OnePlus 9 Pro sold for more than $900, and we can hope for $850, but I don't think much less, guys. Unfortunately, this will be a pricey phone. My question for you is, can that Hasselblad camera justify the pretty big price? And is the new camera bump a turn-off? Let me know. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, subscribe and hit the bell button if you want to see more videos like this. It really means the world to us. See you guys!